Hello and welcome to the Scatterable channel, and today we're going to be building the best $500 gaming PC in 2024. And by the time you finish watching this video, you're going to want to build this PC over a standard, boring old PlayStation 5. So let's get some facts straight. Unlike a PlayStation 5, this PC is going to be able to game at 1080p. You can also stream to Twitch, YouTube, Kick, wherever you want, however you please. And this PC, unlike a PlayStation 5, is going to be able to do video editing, photo editing, and other light productivity work because it's a computer at the end of the day. And guess what? We're going to play some of PlayStation's own exclusives that got ported over to Steam on this PC, as you'll soon see in this video. So again, I think building a PC for $500 is way more exciting than buying a PlayStation 5. And if you don't know how to build one, don't worry. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to show you how to put together this PC step by step, the parts going inside of it, how to install Windows, drivers, and its gaming performance. You know what? Oh, and 2 for 1. And if you needed a little more help, I've got a really handy PCBuilds.gg link in the description below showing you where to buy each of these components at their lowest prices from different retailers. And with all that said, newsflash, I'm selling this gaming PC along with a few others on my website, scatterable.com/garage sale. And this quite literally is like 1 of 2 times of the whole year that I actually sell the PCs that I build in these videos. So if you want them, I'll have that website linked in the description below. And now back to the video. So all you're gonna need to build this PC is a pair of scissors, a banana, an 8GB USB flash drive for our Windows 11 bootable media device. We'll worry about this when we get to first booting up the PC, and a like on this video. Yep, that's a requirement. Sorry, you gotta do it. But anyways, let's talk about the CPU and GPU, which I've chosen the Ryzen 5 3500X. This is the best budget gaming CPU under $50. You can pick up one of these in excellent condition for about $47. And that's what I'm gonna be using in today's build guide. This came directly from AliExpress. There's no shenanigans. What I have linked in that PCBuilds.gg link is a verified seller for the Ryzen 5 3500X. And we're gonna pair that up with a B450 motherboard here from Gigabyte. But get this, you don't have to use this exact motherboard. Heck, what I have linked in that PCBuilds.gg link could be a B550 motherboard. Just a B450 or B550 micro ATX motherboard is all you need for this PC. Now, as you notice, if you order one of these from AliExpress, there isn't a stock CPU cooler that comes with one of these, which is fine because we'll go ahead and order a custom aftermarket one. Again, it doesn't matter which one you use. Whatever I have linked in my PCBuilds.gg link could be slightly different, but as long as you follow the instructions, installing one of these won't be that bad. Installing the CPU is going to be super easy. First, I want you to go ahead and remove these 2 black plastic brackets. We're going to want these off for our aftermarket CPU cooler, but if you have a stock AMD cooler lying around, you could also go ahead and remove those because you'll need access to this back plate. But anyways, take your 3500X, open it up, locate the triangle on the bottom left of the CPU, and we're gonna line that up with the triangle on the top left of the CPU socket. So go ahead and open up this lever, bring this in, line up the triangles, drop it in gently into the socket. Once you think it's in there, give it a little jiggle, make sure it's in, press this down, and you're done. Now for our aftermarket CPU cooler, again, go with whatever I've linked in my PCBuilds.gg link. That's the most cost-effective cooler that will work with this build. I'm using this Frozen A410 just because it looks cool. But again, with every single one of these aftermarket CPU coolers, if you look inside the box, not only will you have everything you need to bolt one of these onto the CPU, but most importantly, you're gonna have an installation guide, or AKA a manual, and this is what you're gonna wanna follow to help install this cooler onto the CPU. We are using an AMD CPU, therefore we're gonna follow what says AMD, because we're using an AM4 CPU. So we'll follow these set of instructions, and I'll meet up with you guys later. Okay, with that done, now let's go ahead and install our SSD and RAM, which for the RAM, I'm using just a standard 16GB kit of DDR4 RAM, clocked at 3600 megahertz with a cast latency of 18. You don't need this exact kit of RAM. It could be one from a different brand. Just again, whatever I have linked in that PCBuilds.gg link will show you what to use. This is a single stick of RAM. One moment. Somehow I thought this was dual channel. What we want is dual channel, 2 sticks. And this is the same speed. This is from a different brand. Again, 3600 megahertz, cast latency 18. We're gonna stick both of these right there. Then for our SSD, this is not gonna play any tricks on us, but we have a 1 terabyte SSD from this brand called Fan X Yang. Hopefully I got that right. So 1 terabyte, same as a PS5. That is going to be pretty standard. M.2, you're given NVMe speeds of up to 3000 megahertz, read and write speed, somewhere around there. Although this is a DRAM-less SSD, which is expected for this kind of a gaming PC, but it's not the end of the world. So with these 2 things, let's go ahead and install them onto the motherboard. Okay, go ahead and remove this because we need to get something from the motherboard box. Here's our I/O shield, we will need this. Here are our Wi-Fi antennas, we will need this as well. And in this box, there should be a plastic baggie with a tiny little screw for our M.2 SSD. It should look something like this. So first, let's go ahead and install your RAM. Now, which slots you need to put these in is actually super straightforward. So right here, next to the RAM slots, is gonna be this handy little indicator that shows where you wanna put the order of your RAM sticks. So here, we're gonna wanna put it in where it says 1 and 2, which is going to be these 2 light gray slots. That is because with all dual channel kits of RAM, we're gonna wanna put them separated with 1 stick in between, or 1 empty slot, farthest away from the CPU. If you don't believe me, just check out the manual. Now to insert these, as you can see here, these are different sizes here on the RAM stick, so this is gonna go in one way. All right, here we go. Like that. Now for our SSD, we're gonna put this right here in the topmost M.2 slot. There's a little notch here on the connection, so this is gonna go in one way. So if you mess it up, it won't insert. So once you think it's gonna go in, press it in, and then use that tiny little M.2 that I showed you earlier. Put this over here, take your little screwdriver that came with your SSD, or you can use your big one, and just go ahead and gently screw this in, like that. Now let's go ahead and put this inside the PC case. All right, and for the case, we are using this Sama Q5 Micro ATX PC case. Micro ATX. That is the specification you need for this PC build because we are using a Micro ATX motherboard. This case is only found on Newegg, so if you can't shop on Newegg, I do have alternatives linked in that PCbuilds.gg link from Amazon and from other retailers. But no matter what, like I said, if it's Micro ATX, it will work with this PC build. And I brought the PlayStation 5 here just for comparison. The height is actually really similar, but in regards to length, the PC is definitely a longer case, as we can see like this. But where the PS5 does beat this externally is going to be the width, because look at the width that you have in this PC. But remember, being a PC, this PC is upgradable. You can swap out the components however you want. So again, while the PS5 may be its own thing, you can't really modify it. Whereas with a PC, if we look on the inside here, you've got a whole lot of possibilities to throw in whatever you want, even inside a Micro ATX PC case. And look at this. You've got 3 pre-included 8 RGB fans, 2 in the front here, 1 in the rear. Bonus as well, these cables are already pre-routed into its own dedicated fan and RGB controller. This is a little bit messy, but we can definitely clean it up. But this is gonna be super handy for controlling the fans in this PC case. And one more thing, right here is included a little plastic box full of all the screws we'll need to use whatever we want inside this PC case, including a manual. So no, you don't have to buy any additional screws or anything like that to build whatever you want inside this PC case. As you can see here in this plastic box, it actually shows the names of each screw. So it shows you what screws you need to use for a hard drive, for the motherboard, for the SSD, and for anything else inside this PC case. And it also includes a BIOS speaker, which is super handy. All right, and with that, let's go ahead, put this inside the case. So how you put this motherboard into the case is actually super straightforward. If you look across the motherboard, there's gonna be a bunch of these holes scattered throughout. And that's where these standoffs are gonna be going inside each of these individual holes. So as we count here on the motherboard, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 holes. Let's see what we have here in the case. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 standoff screws already pre-installed. We don't need to put any more in here. So we'll go ahead and put this into the PC case. But first, our IO shield. Make sure you have this removed from your motherboard box. We got to put this in first before we put in the motherboard. If we imagine how the motherboard's going to go into the PC case, we'll go ahead and pretend as if the IO shield is going to go along with it. So as you can see here on the IO shield, there is a flat side and a side with pokey bits sticking out. The side here with pokey bits sticking out are going to be facing inside the PC case, and the flat side is going to be facing the outside of the PC case. So go ahead and bring this in, bring it over here where your IO shield is going to go. And how I like to put this in is I like to press one corner in, press in another corner, and just hit all 4 of these. And now we can go ahead and bring this motherboard in. All right, we're gonna line that up with the IO shield. And now we're gonna go ahead and use these screws that you see here on screen. These are the screws we'll use for the motherboard. As you can tell from the little plastic box here that shows you what kind of screws you'll need. We'll press in the case or the motherboard a little bit, and one by one, we'll go ahead and screw in these screws into the standoffs. Now, one thing I want you to do as you screw in these screws into the case is that as you screw these in, don't fully tighten them. You want to leave it just before you fully tighten the screw into the motherboard, because what we want to do is put all the screws in first, and then once they're all in, then we'll go ahead and fully tighten in each screw in a crisscross formation across the motherboard. That way there's equal pressure on all sides of the motherboard. All right, I've got all the screws possible for the motherboard now in, so I'm gonna go ahead and fully tighten in that screw. Go to an adjacent corner, tighten that up, go to another corner, tighten that up, and just go ahead and do this in a crisscross formation. All right, now let's go ahead and install the power supply into the case. For the power supply, we're using a basic 550 watt power supply from MSI. This is 80 plus bronze, and once again, whatever is linked in that PCBuilds.gg link is going to be compatible with this build for a power supply. And again, we're using a 3500X and an ARC A750, so the power draw is not going to be a whole lot. So 550 watts is about what we need. Now I've already got this unboxed, but all the cables you'll need to plug in whatever you want to power whatever you want inside this PC is going to be attached to the unit. So let's go ahead and open up this back side panel and put in this power supply. So go ahead and take this power supply fan side facing down and bring this, scooch it into the PC case. Line it up with these 4 holes here found on the back of the PC case. And as far as what screws to use, we're gonna be using these thicker black screws that came with the power supply box, or you can use the screws that are indicated as the power supply screws from that plastic box. Either will work. Oh yeah, this will be easy. And for reference, you can leave this switch on the 0 for now. All right, it's in. And now let's get a quick overview of the cables going on here in the back of the PC case. So your 3 fans that came with this PC case, they're already cable routed into this case fan and RGB power controller. So it looks like the only thing that's gonna plug into your motherboard is this 5-volt ARGB connector. This is going to control all the RGB on your motherboard. But if we look at the actual controller itself, there is this power connector right here that's gonna use a SATA power cable. So while we're here, let's go ahead and use one of these SATA power cables and plug this into here. All right, so let's go ahead and install these front IO cables first. Then we'll install the rest of our power cables and our spare 5-volt ARGB header from our fan and RGB controller into our motherboard. All right, here's your HD audio connector. This is gonna go into the far left of the motherboard in one way. And if you're wondering where each of these connections are gonna go, they're all listed in the motherboard manual. There's a bit of an overview showing you where each of these cables will go. And there you go. Now we have a regular USB 2.0 header. It's gonna go where it says USB on the motherboard. There's only one of these slots, so you really can't mess this up. There we go. Now here's our USB 3.0 header, this big blue chunky guy, and it's gonna go right there where it says USB 3.0 on the motherboard. Now there's a little notch here on the connector. It's gonna line up with the insert on the connection, so this is only gonna go in one way. And we're gonna have to do something like this where we lay the cable down flat and then bring the connector in, insert that, tuck this cable, and there we go. Now here's all of our front IO cables. Now, how you put these into the motherboard is dictated by the motherboard manual. And the good news is that this layout is the same for every single motherboard that you'll ever go with. And this can be all found in the motherboard manual. Just go ahead and follow it. Just make sure that each of these individual pins are going into their correct spots. So the HDD LED is going to go in the bottom 2 pins, and the 2 power LED plus and minus ones are going to go right above that. So it looks something like this. And then right next to the power LED plus and minus is going to be the power switch. This is the power button. That's the most important one of them all. And as you notice, there isn't a reset switch because it's on our RGB and fan controller, which I'll discuss later. Also, we were given a BIOS speaker from our case, and this is gonna go where our front IO is, off to the right. Pretty sure it's gonna go in these top 4 pins, like that. And here is our 5-volt ARGB header from our fan and RGB controller that controls all the RGB from the 3 fans in this case. We got this handy little 5-volt ARGB header here on the top right of the motherboard. The 3 pins are gonna go into these 3 holes. Well, bam. Okay, let's start with our CPU power connector where it says CPU. This is gonna go on the top left of the motherboard. As you can see, there's a little latch here on the connection, and it's gonna line up with a notch on the connector. And you're gonna put the 2 and 2 in together. All right, here's our motherboard power connector. Again, there's this little latch here on the connector that's gonna line up with this notch. The 2 and 2 will go in together, kind of like that. And don't forget, you're gonna want to plug one of these into the back of the fan and RGB controller on the back side of this PC case. Otherwise, there will be no control of the fans and no RGB for those. But the last connector, it's gonna be this PCIe power cable connector. This is for our graphics card, which let's go ahead and install now. And finally, for the graphics card, we're going with an Intel Arc GPU. That may seem a little bit odd, but there's a reason why I want to go with this GPU right now, because I foresee some really heavy discounts going onto this Intel Arc graphics card. Now, it's been about 2 years since this Arc A750 released. You can get it for well below $200 right now. And at this moment, it might just be my favorite sub $200 graphics card. It's got 8 gigabytes of VRAM with a larger 256-bit memory bus, which is quite nice for a graphics card for its price. That's more than the RTX 4060. That's more than the RX 6600, both of which have 128-bit memory buses. This has 256. And this is gonna be the brains behind running all of the games you'd want inside this PC, as well as those PlayStation 5 exclusive games that are on Steam. So as we can see, we already have the PCI Express slot exposed on this graphics card, but make sure you take that off. And then we need to go ahead and remove the PCI slots where this graphics card is going to occupy. So we'll go ahead and screw that out. Let's see, so the 2 slots that our graphics card is gonna occupy are gonna be these 2, which we're gonna go ahead and rip out. Now, as far as what screws we're gonna use the same screws that we used for the power supply. So those big, thicker, black screws. All right, take this thing, bring it in, line it up with that topmost PCI Express slot. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a firm press. There you go, that is in there. We use those case screws I mentioned earlier. I'm gonna screw these back into the graphics card. And finally, with all that stuff done, I'm gonna go ahead and put these 2 PCIe Power Express connectors into the graphics card. These will also go on one way. So you can see there's this little latch on each connector. These will line up with the notch on the top of these. All right, I've got one clicked in. Let's get the other one. There we go. And finally, here's your Wi-Fi antennas. Don't forget these. Go ahead and put these into where the motherboard is. All right, and with that done, let's go ahead and turn on the PC and see if this works. Okay, so let's go ahead and boot up this PC for the first time, and all you're gonna need is that power cable from your power supply box. Go ahead and grab one of those, put it into the back of the PC here, and then go ahead and flick the switch from the 0 to the 1 that primes it so it's ready to turn on when you press the power button. Then for your monitor, don't forget to supply power to your monitor through its provided power cable. A lot of people forget that and wonder why there's no image coming onto their monitor. And then your display cable. So this can be either like an HDMI cable, it can be a DisplayPort cable. It really doesn't matter which one you choose. Just what matters is that you plug in one of these into your graphics card down here. Let me show you guys. You see where this cable is coming from? Right here. It's coming from down here. Not up here where your motherboard is, down here where your graphics card is. And then plug the other end into your monitor. And then of course, don't forget to plug in your keyboard and your mouse. And then finally, go ahead and bust out that Windows 11 bootable media device, which can be found on any 8GB or bigger flash drive of your choosing when you decide to create one of these. It's totally free, and I have a full video tutorial showing you how to create one of these in the description below. And we'll go ahead and plug this into any of the USB 3.0 ports of our choosing, the blue ones. And with that in, let's press the power button and let's just wait. All right, okay, if you see something like this, just go ahead and proceed, whether that be pressing Y to reset the FTPM or something like that, just press F1 or Y, go ahead and proceed. Okay, once you let the PC reboot and do its thing, you should see this little circle pop up, and now let's go ahead and install Windows. Okay, so go ahead and hit next. Install now. Here's where you can enter in your Windows product key if you have one. I don't, and that's fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on I don't have a product key. I'm gonna choose Windows 11 Home. It really doesn't matter which version you choose. I accept, next, custom. There's our drive, next, done. All right, go ahead and choose your country. Here's where you can go ahead and connect to your internet. So go ahead and just enter your password, easy peasy. Although you are welcome to actually proceed with installation without internet if you want to. There's an option for that. You can install Windows 11 without internet, as you can see from the screenshot, but otherwise proceed ahead. Here you're welcome to name your PC. Now here's where to go ahead and sign into your Microsoft account. This could be a leftover Xbox Live account from previous years. This could be a Hotmail account you use already on a current Windows PC. Just go ahead and enter what you have, or you can go ahead and create a new account. If you're given this option, go ahead and click More Options, Set Up as a New PC, Set Up as a New PC. Here's where you can go ahead and create a PIN. This is going to be your password every time you turn on and enter this PC. Now from here on out, you're just going to see a lot of offers and options. I just go ahead and decline them all because I want the most bare bones vanilla Windows experience as possible for maximum performance. So I'll go ahead and meet you guys at the Windows desktop. Okay, once you're here, you'll see this little App Center notification in the bottom right. Whether you have an Asus, MSI, or ASRock motherboard, something like this should pop up, and you're gonna wanna install what it offers. This more or less kind of gets you straight to the point for installing what kind of utilities and drivers you'll need for your motherboard, all on a handy program. Now, if you aren't given something like this, you can easily find it on the webpage of your motherboard if you browse it on Google, but otherwise, we're gonna let this run and install some stuff. Okay, so once you get here, we're given the option between new drivers and new utilities. So if we expand new drivers, we're given the option to install a chipset driver, Realtek HD audio drivers, LAN drivers, Wi-Fi drivers, Bluetooth drivers. That all sounds good. But what about utilities? Well, BIOS, why not? Easy Tune, I don't know if we need that. SIV, I don't know if we need that. Smart Backup, I don't know. RGB, yeah, so we can change the RGB. G-Service, really don't. Third party, don't need Norton, and yeah, that's it. Install, let this thing run. Okay, now to install drivers, it's pretty easy. Just type in Intel Arc A750 drivers into Google, click on the intel.com link, and here we can see the latest drivers and software. So here we're going to click on the one that says Windows because we're using a Windows PC. We'll go ahead and hit download. Let this thing run. And I'd say let's wait for the utilities and chipset drivers to finish installing before we actually run that graphics card installation software. So it looks like we've installed everything from our App Center for new utilities and such. We'll eventually have to restart the PC to apply those changes. But until then, let's go ahead and install these new graphics card drivers for our Intel Arc A750. So here, go ahead and hit begin installation. I agree, accept, start. All right, this finished. We'll go ahead and reboot. And whenever we enter the BIOS, we're gonna go ahead and see if we can go ahead and enable XMP for our RAM, which to do that, we'll have to enter the delete key on our keyboard to enter the BIOS once it comes up, although we may have a BIOS update to run through first. So let's see what comes first. Okay, spam the delete key. All right, there we go. We are in the BIOS. All we gotta do is click on easy mode. Right here where it says XMP disabled, let's click that and it should enable to profile 1. Then let's go back to classic mode. Let's check on one more thing. Miscellaneous, go ahead and click on chipset, actually peripherals. Right here where it says above 4G decoding and resizable bar support, we want to enable both of those. There we go. Enable 4G decoding is enabled and resizable bar is on. And that is all we need. We'll go ahead and click save and exit and you are ready to get to gaming. All right, we're gonna be testing a lot of games on this $500 gaming PC. I'm kicking things off with Call of Duty Black Ops 6. We're going straight into multiplayer. The PC is to the right of me. There is no trickery. This is the PC itself. Frame rate is on the top left. If you like the frame rate that you see, great. However, do not mind the gameplay. It's going to be terrible. I don't do good with Call of Duty. I'm a CS2 player. You know what though, while we're down here, let me go and show you guys the graphics settings. We have got basic settings, AMD FSR3 turned on. Yes, this is an Intel GPU, but we have frame generation turned on because that's what FSR3 allows. We have it set to balance. Everything is at the basic preset. And you know what? We could actually get a higher frame rate. Oh, I got a frag. Oh, that's not good. Okay, let's go ahead and increase that frame rate. Like I said, let's go to graphics. Let's go to FSR3 and check this out. We'll go to ultra performance. What kind of frame rate are we getting now? For those of you who just want absolute frame rate, you don't care about graphics, although we are in basic. We're at almost 100 FPS at 1920 by 1080. All right, can I get one more frag? One more frag. Oh, yes. You know, I'm fine with that. Next game. All right, let's keep up the energy with F124. This is an esports game. That's for all of you sim racers. I know I'm kind of cheating here. I'm using a controller, but it's a free game on Steam right now for this weekend. So I thought we might as well try it on this $500 gaming PC and see how many frames per second we get. We're getting about 60, which is all right. But I know this PC can do more. And once again, just like what I showed you guys in Black Ops, I'm gonna apply a little trick right here once we get through this. We go here to settings and we go to graphics, and this isn't enabled on by default, but you can definitely do this. We're actually running the game at high settings, just with all the ray tracing turned off. That's what it chose by default. But here on video mode, if we go down, we have Intel XeSS enabled. That is essentially Intel's version of DLSS. But if we turn on frame generation, we can use AMD FSR3, just like what we did in Call of Duty. And now we were getting about 60 FPS. What about now? 122, 119, 115, 112. Oh yeah, we are well into the hundreds with this gaming PC right here, which is superb. Once again, frame generation is quite the hack on this PC. And again, it doesn't matter if you have an NVIDIA GPU, AMD GPU, or like in this PC build, an Intel GPU. You can use frame generation through FSR3 on games that support it, and it can really boost your frame rate. Anyways, I'm gonna go through maybe this last quarter right here. Yeah, we'll come in hot. We definitely overshot that. Oh, yep. Well, hey, that's F124. It is running really good on this PC. Let's try a game that's harder to run. Okay, as promised, here's a PlayStation exclusive you can play on PC. And I'm gonna go ahead and use Horizon Zero Forbidden West. But there's a problem though. The problem is I actually, for some reason, couldn't run this game at 1080p. The lowest resolution I can run this game acceptably is 2560 by 1440, which is a problem. Because this $500 gaming PC, I said, was designed for 1920 by 1080 gaming, 1080p. And I mean, yeah, we can go higher than that, but this PC prioritizes frame rate more so over resolution. So we're actually asking more of this PC at this moment to do 2560 by 1440 on that Arc A750. And the frame rate is on the top left. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Genuinely speaking, I'm a little bit shocked this $500 gaming PC is running this game. But once again, we do have some tricks up our sleeve. So what's an occurring thing I've been talking about throughout this gameplay section? It's that we have the ability to utilize AMD FSR3 frame generation. It is such a hack for gaming PCs. I know it's something that the PS5 Pro has, but it's something that I think the base PS5 doesn't have. And guess what? We've also have Intel XeSS also added into the mix. So we have Intel XeSS and AMD FSR3. And let me double check this. What graphics settings are we at? Medium. And we're getting above 60. Let's go higher than that. 60? What if we went ultra? Very high settings. What are we gonna get? Oh, about 60, bang on. That's not bad. that is not bad at all, actually. If you want my honest opinion, we gotta give credit to the devs. We have got to give credit to the devs. There are other AAA PC games I know that would not run this well, this smoothly at 2560 by 1440 on this PC, even with frame generation and Intel XeSS. So in this case, I actually got to applaud Sony and whoever did the porting of this game to PC. It's running really good on a $500 computer. Well, let's go back to a game you guys will recognize. Ooh, ooh. Oh, okay. We're doing CS2. That was a bot. Oh, that's embarrassing. We're doing CS2. This is a game you guys should be fairly familiar with, although I've been running into some internet issues, so please excuse me if you see a bit of weird stuff on screen. But as far as the performance goes, frame rate is on the top left. We're getting a few, what's the word we're looking for? Frame dips here and there, but not too many. When it comes to this game, all you care about is frame rate and responsiveness, and for some reason my internet connection is not helping me out. Could be something with the game and the fact that I'm running OBS and the frame counter on the top left, and it's just not liking that. Because if I went into single player, this game would be running crystal smooth. Other than my internet connection, though, this game is running well, and I'll show you guys the graphics settings in a little bit once I see where I'm getting shot from. Oh, okay, yeah, here we go. Settings, video, advanced video. So we've essentially got medium settings, but I increased the anti-aliasing and I increased the anisotropic filtering just a little bit so the game will look a little bit nicer, but still have pretty high frame rate. Yeah, see, look, something's up with my internet. Something is up with my internet. Anyways, let's try another game. Anyways, we're playing Fortnite. As I was saying, the UI is really big because for some reason with OBS, which is how we're recording all these games on the PC, it won't let us record the frame rate meter. Otherwise, Fortnite will not show up. So for our FPS meter, we have in the top right our FPS, and I'm gonna have my editor completely blow that up so it can be visible. I have a feeling this is going to be an early elimination, but right now we're chilling inside at about 120 FPS. What happens if we go outside? I will say on a positive note, the game's running incredibly smooth. Let me show you guys the graphics settings. So I found that DirectX 12 is the best way to run Fortnite on this PC because the Intel Arc A750. I tried performance mode and we ran into stutter night basically. So it's DirectX 12. You're welcome to try performance mode if you want even more FPS. But here's what I've got. Intel XeSS is enabled, set to performance. Everything is turned down to its lowest settings except for view distance. And I should say, I mean, if you don't care about graphics, this is a clean image of Fortnite. Again, Intel XeSS is basically DLSS, but for Intel GPUs. And I must say, NVIDIA allowing Intel to essentially go into that code for DLSS and make their own version of that through XeSS. It's a good move for a game like Fortnite because it looks good and it's running very smoothly with no frame dips. But I can't end this without getting into a fight. Oh, yes, there we go. We got one. No build mode. You know what? Oh, and 2 for 1. That's a 2 for 1 deal right there. Excelente. I'm happy with that. Let's finish out the video. All right, I gotta admit, this is a pretty nifty little $500 gaming PC. Performance-wise, I've got no issues other than one game for some weird reason wasn't running as good as I expected it to be, and that was Counter-Strike 2. I was easily expecting 144 frames per second and above at 1080p, but I guess for some reason it wasn't running that well. Unlike what we saw on Fortnite and even on F1 24, those are both esports titles that both achieved very high frame rates, and Horizon Zero Forbidden West, I guess that's how you call it. Those AAA games from both Xbox and PlayStation ran really well on this $500 PC. So weirdly enough, the most PC game of them all, Counter-Strike 2, wasn't the happiest with this configuration. And yes, all the recordings you saw were recorded natively from the PC, from the Intel Arc software. And I mean, there's not much more I gotta say other than its performance is pretty darn good for 1080p. And I especially like the way this PC looks. I think versus my last $500 gaming PC, I much prefer this simpler layout that is just a bit more flat, a little bit more, you could say understated, but still has some nice RGB with the included fans that come with this Sama case and optional RGB memory like what I have here. And this cooler and this Intel Arc graphics card look really cool together. So for $500, I'm impressed. I I might keep my hands on this PC for a little while because it looks good and it runs good and it's only $500. That's pretty darn good. And I think it should be a pretty convincing means to build a PC for the same price of a PS5 and get maybe even a slightly better gaming experience, or at the very least, a more varied gaming experience where you can play a ton of different PC games at a lot of different frame rates and graphic settings. Anyways, you can build this PC through my PCbuilds.gg link found in the description below. There it has all the parts you'll need to put together this PC. And once again, if you made it to this point in the video, you should probably give it a like because you've made it this far. And if you enjoy PC build videos, definitely subscribe because that's what I'm known for and I won't stop putting them out. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and this is the Scatterville channel, signing out.